Good evening, everybody. Thanks for joining me and welcome to the first of the Total Wellness Supercharged mini sessions or mini masterclasses, as I like to call them. This is being recorded, so if you can't catch the whole thing, don't worry. There'll be a recording available. It'll stay up on Facebook, and I'll have a link I can share with anyone that's interested as well. So tonight we are going to talk about owning your time so that you can own your well-being. It's going to take about 20 minutes. If you have got any questions, if you're watching on Zoom, feel free to post them in the chat and I'll try and keep up. If you're watching on Facebook, feel free to put them in the comments. It'll be difficult for me to address them during the live session. I will if I can, but if I can't do that, I'll check them all afterwards. And you can always message me directly as well if there's something that you want to know more about. So, right, yeah, we're going to talk about owning your time so that you can own your well-being. I'll just give you a little introduction to me, first of all, for anyone that doesn't know me. So my name's Louise Wilson. I'm the owner of Elemental Coaching for Body, Mind, Nutrition. I'm an award-winning personal trainer, a certified nutrition coach, a mum of 2 young children, and I'm also an independent consultant with sustainable healthy living company Arbonne. So as well as coaching people in fitness, in mind and in nutrition as well, I also offer a range of completely sustainable, ethically produced, super clean nutrition products and healthy living and skincare products as well. So in terms of these sessions, this being the first one, just to give you a little bit of a heads up on how they're going to work, be great if you could join future ones as well. As I say, they're mini sessions. They're going to take about 20 minutes each time. They'll always be on a Thursday evening at 7:30, and there's 8 sessions running over the next 10 weeks. So there's 2 weeks where they're not happening. If anyone would like full dates of when they're coming up, I can share that list with you, and I'll pop the dates on Facebook as well, and I'll post them regularly so that people can see what's coming up. And we're going to cover all kinds of things in those sessions. So tonight we're going to talk about time and using our time so that we can do what we need to do to be fit, healthy and well and take care of ourselves. In other sessions, we're going to look at healthy eating. We're going to look at different aspects of healthy eating over 3 sessions and how to keep that simple, because simple is key. Otherwise, things just don't happen, do they? We're going to talk about how you can reclaim your energy, how you can reclaim your sleep, all kinds of things, just like total mind, body, full person, holistic well-being. So lots of exciting stuff coming up. Yeah, there's a golden rule for every session, and that is try not to implement everything at once. You might watch this and come away thinking like, yes, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. I'm going to drink more and I'm going to, smash out 3 workouts a week. And, you might come away full of beans, which is absolutely brilliant. Hold on to that feeling, embrace that feeling, but just be kind to yourself and try and implement 1 or 2 things at a time. And we'll talk about how to do that and why that's really important for building and sustaining healthy habits. We'll come on to that later. But the golden rule is just be kind to yourself and take it 1 step at a time. So this evening, in terms of owning your time and owning your wellness, I'm going to run through 6 top tips. And in terms of headlines and what they're going to be, it's about knowing what you want to make time for, number 1. Then we're going to talk about how you take time ownership for your well-being. Then we're going to talk about embracing something called time blocking. Then we're going to talk about how you can combine activities smartly, or it's kind of activity stacking, as it's sometimes known. Number 5, top tip, don't go it alone. We're going to talk about how you can boost accountability and team up to make yourself much more likely to succeed and stick to whatever it is that you set out to do. And then number 6, we're going to talk about keeping it simple and where to start if you don't know where to start, because quite often that's part of the challenge, isn't it? It's just not knowing what to do first when it comes to feeling better, feeling fitter, healthier and looking after ourselves. So I'll also give you a couple of good reads as well for more tips and inspiration if you want to go and read some more. So number 1, knowing what you want to make time for. This is really important, isn't it? Identifying what we actually want and need to do to feel at our best. We might feel like we've got quite a long list of things and we don't know what to start, or we might just feel like we generally would like to feel, have more energy or feel fitter or feel more well, but not really know exactly, not really be able to pinpoint exactly what it is that we need to do. One of the ways that we can do that is to use a really simple framework. It's a framework which I've become familiar with through my training with Precision Nutrition as a nutrition and wellbeing coach, and they have a concept of deep health which has 6 parts to it. If you've got a pen and paper, feel free to jot this down. If you don't worry, you can message me or I can put it in the comments if you want to ask the question in the comment, or just get in touch and I can send a slide to you that goes through them. But to run through them very briefly, so 6 things which it's good to just ask yourself questions about if you feel like you want to work on your well-being but you don't know where to start. So the 6 aspects of deep health are relational, physical, existential, that's a scary word, isn't it? But it's not a scary thing. Emotional, mental, and environmental. Okay, so those are the 6 things. I'll give you a quick heads up on what each of those is, and obviously if you want to know more, just get in touch and we can talk about it further. I love talking about this stuff, could do it all day. All right, so physical deep health, obviously that is about our physical bodies. It's about feeling vibrant, energized, thriving in ourselves, performing well, functioning well. So it's not necessarily about being super fit. It doesn't have to be about that. It's just about feeling like physically our bodies are kind of functioning optimally well, and we've got that kind of vitality and that feeling of physical wellness in our body. Emotional deep health, so being able to kind of experience our full range of emotions, being able to express them appropriately, feeling like we're kind of in control of our emotions in a way. I don't mean in a kind of a repressive way, but just feeling like, you know, we're managing them and we're not kind of spinning out of control emotionally. That's obviously an important aspect of health as well. Our environmental health, so having surroundings and people around you that support you in your well-being. So, you know, if you're trying to make change or you're trying to introduce healthy habits or you're working towards a goal, it's really important that your environment and the people around you support that. So there might be something there that needs to shift. Mental deep health, so feeling alert, focused, being able to solve problems, having good memory, all of that kind of stuff. Existential, it's a big word, as I said, but that basically just means having deep health in the sense of feeling like you've got purpose, you know what you're doing, you know, you're working towards things and you feel good about that on a day-to-day basis. And then lastly, relational, so feeling connected with others and feeling like you're being your true self, you know, feeling like you're living aligned with your values, and that you're not changing those too much for, you know, what's going on around you or people around you. So if you're not sure what it is that you need to do, have a think about those headings and try and identify what it is that you need to do to work on your well-being. And then I would suggest by starting with writing down just 3 things that you want to do to feel better or fitter or healthier or more energized or eat better or whatever it is, and try not to start with, by all means, you know, brainstorm a lot, but when it actually comes to sort of taking those first steps and taking action, try not to work with any more than 3, or think about 3 to start with. Okay, so top tip number 2, time ownership. This is a biggie, okay? It's really, really important. So how often do we say, or do we just feel like we have no time? That, you know, how often do we feel like time is what it is that prevents us from taking care of ourselves? If we can crack that, we are so far along the way to being able to do more, to look after ourselves. You know, life is really busy, absolutely no doubt about that. It is a real challenge. But we've kind of, you know, we live in a culture where being like really busy, lacking time, and actually having time or lacking time to look after ourselves is kind of accepted as like the way it is or normal, which is not necessarily helpful. So what we need to do is change the way we think and talk about time, because the words that we use in our head and the words that we say out loud, they really matter. They really, really matter. They affect the way our brain is wired, our neural pathways. They shape our habitual or our default thinking. So every time we say, or we out loud, or we consciously in our head say to ourselves something, we reinforce our deep belief that it is true. So every time we say to ourselves, I'm so busy, I don't have time to work out, you know, there's not enough hours in the day, I can't get to bed earlier, I hate mornings, I can't get up early, or whatever it is, every time we say those things, we just reinforce them as true. Okay, so we need to consciously, I'm not saying it's easy, but we need to consciously try and change the language that we use around time so that we can take time ownership. So how do we do this? Well, we just practice it. We practice that belief. So I would suggest for a week, try this as an exercise. Try and consciously change the words that you use when you're thinking about time. So try not to say things like, I don't have time, there isn't enough time, I'm too busy, there aren't enough hours in the day, you know, all of those things that just trip off the tongue all the time. Try and catch yourself out and use something different. So for example, you could instead say, this isn't a priority, so I'm not going to do it. I choose to do this now because it's really important. I have time to do the things that actually matter. My time is my own and I'm in charge of it. You know, there's all kinds of ways that we can just say things to ourselves which are going to shift our belief pattern. And, you know, you might not, it might not trip off the tongue at first, and you might not feel like you're really feeling it deep and believing it, but the more you say it, the more that is going to change. So changing the way we talk about time is going to change the way that we actually use our time. Okay, top tip number 3, embrace time blocking or calendar blocking. So this might be something that you're familiar with, might be something that you do at work, or just something that you've heard about, in another context. But essentially what time blocking is, it's a technique that helps us schedule and plan by blocking specific time slots for specific activities. And this is really important. It increases the likelihood that something will happen. So if we schedule in a walk, a workout, a bath, time to listen to a podcast, a meet up with a friend for our kind of mental and emotional well-being, whatever it is, if we actually block out the time for it rather than get to it when we can, as it were, we're so much more likely to make sure that that thing happens. And psychologically it works, because often we feel like we can't make time to do something for us, for ourselves and our well-being, because we've got a long list of jobs in our head that we can't help thinking ahead to, and they play on our mind, and those things need to be done, they're real things. But if we just have that kind of list in our mind without any time blocks around it, it can make us feel like we can't stop until we've done those things. We can't pause to do something that's good for us and our health and well-being until all of those things are done. So time blocking can help get us out of this too many things, not enough time headspace, for 4 reasons. 1, it puts us in control. So if we have blocked out time ahead for these things, we feel more in control because we are taking control. We know we've set time aside for the important things that need to be done in any given day. And obviously, it might go out of control, things come up, and that's okay. But, we have at least got ahead of the game and taken control, and that can just change our whole mindset around how much time we think we have, or we feel we have. 2, it forces conscious prioritization. So when we consciously have to, look at our time, on a page or in a calendar on our phone, or however we decide to write down our time blocks or note our time blocks, we have to decide what to put in and what to leave out. So it gets us away from this kind of mental list of things that need to be done, and it actually gets us into a space where we are much more consciously thinking about, okay, what time have I got for work, for chores, for kids, for me in any given day or week, or other commitments, and where am I going to block that time to do the things that I need to do to look after myself and do what I need to do for my well-being. So it forces that prioritization. 3, it helps create habits. So the more often we time block for a well-being activity, whatever it is, a workout, a walk, a regular slot in the diary to plan meals ahead for the week, whatever it is, the more we time block it and put it down on paper or on a calendar or in our phones, the more we do it, and the more we do it, the more it just becomes a subconscious or an unconscious habit. So time blocking helps us create habits because we do the do. Number 4, and this is a great one, this is like the easiest win in the book. Okay, so writing something down or logging it in some way instantly makes it more likely to happen. Just the very act of writing it down. There's been a lot of research done on this about what happens when people write down their goals versus don't write down their goals, and how likely they are then to go on and achieve those goals. It has a massive effect on our psychology. Something happens in our brain which makes us much more likely to act if we've written something down or put it, typed it into our diary on the phone. It's around, some of it is to do with something called the reticular activating system, which is absolutely fascinating, and I'll try and cover it in another session. But basically it's like our brain's sat nav, and once we write something down and we're conscious of that thing, much more conscious of that thing and its importance, our brain helps us notice and be more conscious of the things that we need to make that thing possible. The resources, the people, the support, the opportunities that we might otherwise kind of miss because we're a little bit blind to them. Once we've written a goal down or written a time blocked down on paper for an activity, our reticular activating system goes, right, I know what I need to do, and I'm going to look out for the things that are going to help make that thing happen. And this all happens, subconsciously, but it's really, really powerful. Okay, so time blocking is that top tip. I'm conscious of time, so I'm going to move on to top tip number 4. Okay, so we're nearly there. So combining activities smartly, or activity stacking. This is a really easy one. It's something that a lot of people do anyway, but when we sit and think about it, we often come up with ideas that we haven't thought of before. So my question to you is, can you combine everyday activities or chores with something that you want to do for your well-being that you're struggling to make time to do. So can you, for example, and these are just examples, do a simple stretch routine or workout in front of something that you want to catch up with on TV? Can you leave a bit earlier, or so that you can walk or jog the longer way round to school pickup, or another commitment that you've got somewhere in the day? Can you use your time in the car, or while you're doing chores, to listen to something that really boosts your mental well-being or helps you learn something or inspires you or motivates you? Can you make a date with a friend or with your partner that involves a walk or a run or a workout as well as a catch up? All of those kinds of things. Once you've done that, working out what it is that you need to do for your well-being, you've done that time blocking, then that's going to give you loads of visibility, loads of clarity about how you could maybe be smart and activity stack or combine activities so that you get more out of them for you and your well-being. Okay, top tip number 5, don't go it alone. Okay, this is a really, really helpful one for a lot of people. So it's about boosting accountability and support as well. So carving out time to do things to boost our well-being can be really challenging. But when we make a commitment or an appointment with somebody else, we are so much more likely to stick to it and see it through and do that happen. So my question to you is, who have you got in your life that you can bring on board to share in the well-being activity that you're thinking about, whether that's exercise or whatever it is, or to help keep you accountable once you've got clear on what it is that you want to do and when you're going to do it? So it might just be about identifying what it is you're going to try and fit in to your time, when it's going to happen, and just sharing that with someone that you live with or a friend, so that they know that it's kind of, you've blocked that time out, it's going to happen, and they can help keep you accountable. You can let them know when it's done, or they can follow up with you if they haven't heard from you when you said, I'm going to go to the gym tomorrow, ask me if I've been, or whatever it is that you decide. Okay, so accountability, not going it alone, can be really helpful. And, for support, for moral support, to stick with it and keep going as well. So perhaps like signing up for an event together with a friend or somebody so that you can sort of work towards it together. There's all kinds of things there. So have a think about what can work there. And obviously a coach is one way to help with, a massive way that can help with support and accountability. And that's obviously something that I can help with as a nutrition and wellbeing coach. So if you want to know, and a personal trainer as well. So if you want to know more about that, just get in touch for an exploratory chat and I can tell you more about how that works. Last top tip, and then 2 good reads, and then we'll wrap up. So I'm pretty much running to time. This is cool. Right. So keep it simple. Keep it simple. I need something in front of me which I've forgotten to pick up, so just hold on 1 second. So keeping it simple, I referred to this a little bit at the beginning. Basically, this is just about not trying to change loads of things all at once. So when you sit down and think about, right, what is it that I want to do to feel better, healthier, fitter, more energized, whatever it is, your list might end up being quite long. So it might be about exercise, it might be about eating better, sleeping more, drinking more water, cutting coffee, reducing coffee, whatever it is. If we try and do all of these things all at the same time, that's going to be a lot of pressure. Okay, so it's very much about deciding what to focus on first. It might be 1 thing, it might be 2 if you feel you can manage it. And the question to ask yourself is this an 8 out of 10? Do I feel an 8 out of 10 on the manageability scale at least? So if you've set yourself kind of a plan or a goal, and then you ask yourself that question and you honestly feel like, oh, actually, I think I'm maybe a 6 out of 10, then it's too much. Rein it back, take something off the list, or take that goal, but make it more manageable, shrink it down a bit and build up as you get more, as you feel like things become more manageable. It's about building habits and focusing on embedding habits before we sort of pile lots of stuff on. So that's really important. If you're not sure where to start, I have something which might help. So this is a guided wellness journal, which I have written. It's called 52 Weeks of Feeling Good. If anyone wants to know more details about it, just get in touch and I can give you some more info. But essentially, it has, for every week of the year, a wellness mission on one side of the page, and then a journal space on the other side of the page. And it covers all kinds of, every week is different. There are headings around eating well, feeling energized and inspired, moving your body more, feeling focused and calm, and tuning into your body. And under those headings, there's a different wellbeing mission every week, and a space so that you can plan ahead and sort of track progress and make notes on. I've been doing it myself, so you can see I've been filling it in. Make notes on how you're doing as well. So that's just a really simple way to get going if you're not sure where to start. And what can often happen if we just pick one thing, one quite simple thing, what can often happen is that has a knock-on effect onto lots of other areas of our well-being. So in a sense, if you're really kind of befuddled and not sure where to start, actually just starting somewhere is really, really powerful. Don't agonize over it too much, because, for example, you might find that you focus on hydration for a week, so you just simply focus on drinking more water, and then you suddenly find that your energy is much better, and then because your energy is better, you find that you've got more energy to get to the gym when you promised yourself you were going to go, and that's less of a struggle. You've had a workout, so suddenly you're sleeping better. There can be all kinds of knock-on effects that we don't even necessarily anticipate. So if you're not sure where to start, just pick one thing, and if you're not sure what that one thing is, then this could really help. So if you'd like to know more about that, just ask. I'm doing a special deal, so it normally retails on my website at $12.99, including postage. For anyone who's watching the Total Wellness Supercharged sessions, I'm offering it for £10, including postage. And in the name of accountability and buddying up, if you'd like to buy 2 copies, you can have 2 copies for £16. So that's only £8 each, including postage. And that will give you an opportunity to perhaps do work through the journal with a friend and keep each other motivated and accountable. So that's number 6, keep it simple. So to wrap up, I'm going to give you 2 good read recommendations, quickly run through those top tips, and then we'll close. So my good read recommendations are a book called Do Less by Kate Northrup, which again I should have in front of me and I don't, so just hold on. Okay, so it's this one, Do Less by Kate Northrup. I've extensively put loads of notes in it because I absolutely loved it so much. I can share a link to that if anyone's interested. What's great about this is it's about using our time and our energy really wisely, like really tuning into that. It's about breaking the habit of feeling like we have to do it all, in work, in family, all kinds of stuff. And it's particularly aimed at women. It's particularly helpful for women because it's also about learning to work with your hormonal and your energy cycle. So you are, as much as possible, using that to your advantage and kind of pouring your energies into the activities and the tasks and the priorities which you're most likely to be aligned with and feel comfortable with and do well at that point in your cycle. There's so much more to it than that, but that in a nutshell is what it is. And when we're thinking about owning our time, then understanding how our energy fluctuates and our kind of suitability for different types of tasks changes with our hormonal cycle and our energy cycle. Once we get in tune with that, it's really powerful in terms of being able to do less in the time, do less by using our time better. So that's a great book. The second one is called The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. I don't have it with me because I listened to it on Audible. That's a book about self-limiting beliefs and how to change them. But the early part of the book is about this idea of time ownership. And he goes into a topic called Einstein time, which is totally fascinating. And he talks about how we can, take ownership of time by changing the way we think and speak about time in more detail than I've just covered. So that's a great book as well. So to recap the top tips, know what you want to make time for, number 1. Number 2, take time ownership. And we do that by changing the way that we think and talk about time and the language that we use, because what we say affects what we think massively. Number 3, embrace time blocking. Give time blocking a go and see if that works for you. Number 4, combine activities or activity stack. Think about how you can, get your well-being activities and do things that make you feel good and feel fitter and feel healthier in the course of other commitments, other things that you've got going on in your everyday life. Number 5, don't go it alone. Buddy up, whether that's with your partner, with a friend, with someone in your family. Try and bounce and work off somebody else so that you've got that accountability and mutual support. And number 6, keep it simple. Don't focus on too many things at once. Just, start with 1 or 2 building blocks and make sure that you feel like whatever you're setting out to do is an 8 out of 10, at least on the manageability scale. That's it. That's all I'm going to cover for now. So thank you very much for joining. There'll be another one of these at the same time next week. And the session next week is going to be the first of 3 sessions on simple, healthy eating. And we're going to talk specifically about super shakes. This is one of my absolute favorite topics. Super shakes or protein super shakes are the most brilliant time saver, actually, when it comes to healthy eating and healthy snacking and getting as much nutrient dense stuff in the easiest, quickest way possible. So if you're into making time for wellness, then super shakes are massively in the playbook. So tune in next week to hear more about those. Get in touch if you've got any questions or you'd like to talk more. I'm always happy to have an exploratory chat about coaching, about any of the topics we've covered tonight, anything at all. So just get in touch via Facebook, Messenger, or any other means. And I'd love to hear how this has an impact on you. So if you've enjoyed this, if you go ahead and implement any of it, and you find that bits of it are working for you, I always really love to hear about that. So please share your wins, share your successes, and would love to hear about those. All right, thanks very much. Have a great rest of the evening, and I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye.